All right, boys and girls. I'm Mike, and this is the Saga, the Clone Saga, aka the Clone Zone. It's the podcast, the live podcast presented by the students of S.H.I.E.L.D. If you've getting this far, you already know the drill. We're reading and talking about the entire infamous 1990s Spider-Man Clone Saga. And let's start off with introductions.
My name is Vincent.
And I'm Matt, and I am happy to introduce this week's sponsor, the Papillon. The Papillon is his friend for Butterfly. Fun fact, Papillons are well known for being commonly associated with Marie Antoinette and the present for her beheading, which is quite a joyous image if you want to imagine that. So this week, sponsored by Papillons and Marie Antoinette's head.
And Vince, you want to give us the rundown, as always, for these issues?
Yeah, so this week we're talking about the 2-issue arc Aftershocks, which it's kind of like a bridge arc. Not a ton happens. It's kind of just between arcs. So we are starting out with Adjectiveless Spider-Man 57, written by Howard Mackey, and we've got a guest artist, John Romita Jr. I believe this is our first time seeing him on an ongoing title within this podcast. We've seen him on the Ben Reilly backups in the Lost years already, but not on the actual titles. But for this, he's just a guest artist. We'll be back to Tom Lyle for a little bit, and then in a few episodes, Romita will officially start his second run on Spider-Man. And so this cover. We've got this cover of Peter Parker behind bars. He's in prison. And you can already see John Romita Jr., his career is moving along because Peter Parker's fingers look like they were run over by an 18-wheeler.
Yeah, they flat.
What did you guys think of this cover? I think it's fine.
I'm not a big fan of
it. It conveys what it's supposed to convey, so it's fine.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's an attention-grabbing cover. If you weren't keeping up, it's like, why is Spider-Man in prison right now?
Yeah, I think they just did something very similar with the recent cover of Spectacular Spider-Man, actually.
Oh yeah. Also, I was looking real quick on that, which there's no reason to really talk about this, but I believe the Spectacular Spider-Man annual is being drawn by Mike Allred or something in June.
Oh, dope! I know
being drawn by someone really cool.
This issue, we mentioned his Peter Parker's fingers. Look at his giant ass feet.
Yeah, that too. Honestly, his pose here and his feet and hands reminds me of Morlun.
Morlun? Oh.
Or no.
I was thinking Hank McCoy, but fine.
It's not Morlun. You're thinking of the other guy, right?
Yeah, Ezekiel.
That
makes more sense.
But moving into the issue, we start off with a splash page of MJ smacking Ben Reilly in the face.
This art is terrible. It's just
first, right off the bat, all male protagonists in this book accelerated hair growth because everyone's rocking a mullet.
Matt, you don't like this Romita?
Look at their eyes.
They're soulless. There's nothing.
They look messed out.
I don't know. I'm fine with it. I mean, I was just in general. I was excited to see this art just because it's different and I was all right on Tom Lyle in the beginning, but now I'm kind of bored. I don't think he's bringing that much interesting to the books compared to the other artists.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, Ben Reilly did break into her home. He also looks exactly like her husband, who literally just got arrested, literally right after he buried his aunt.
Right.
So tensions are high. Totally understandable.
I mean, the other thing though is, listen, I'm a big John Romita Jr. fan, but I don't care who's drawing this book. I don't think this arc was particularly good. And I don't care who's drawing this. It's not going to make the issue any better.
No, it's not.
And while we're talking about MJ, obviously we talked about this a lot last episode, but where the hell does Planet of the Symbiotes take place?
Yeah,
It just doesn't.
At him.
it's in Elseworlds at this point.
Yeah.
And she basically berates him, says he's not half the man or the hero that Peter Parker is. And then he jumps out the window. So that entire scene was pointless.
Entirely pointless.
Well, this entire arc's pointless.
That's also true.
And Peter Parker is in court. And I love this inner monologue where he's like, I don't know any of this legal jargon. I don't care. I'm going to be innocent. And so he's just not listening at all.
That's something he does a couple times in this arc, which is, I think, insane. Like, you're wrongly accused of murder. You should be listening to this stuff.
Yeah,
Also, one of your best friends is Daredevil. I'm sure you would have picked up a little bit of legal jargon.
Well,
A
no,
little bit.
Matt Murdock is dead.
Well,
But like over
in their
time.
entire history, you mean he wouldn't have picked up a little bit of legal jargon? Come on.
But I mean, part of the reason why he's ignoring it all is because he assumes it's some weird mess up and he's going to be charged with littering or they'll figure it out. But the one word that he does pay attention to is when the judge declares that he's been charged for murder.
Right.
And that there is no bail. And so Peter Parker is going to prison. And this, what did you think about this bugle scene?
This is
Hey, Jonah's a dick.
no. This is the best part of the arc, and maybe my favorite part of the Clone Saga so far.
Is Jonah?
Yeah, it's Jonah, because like he's acting like a dick because that's Jonah, that's what he does. And then he turns around and he makes calls to make sure that Pete gets the best lawyer on him. Like, that is so Jonah. That is perfect.
It's kind of refreshing to see Jonah because we haven't seen him in a number of episodes.
It's been a while.
It's since we first. I don't think we've seen him since we started covering since maybe the Carrion.
Possibly.
So it's good to see Jonah again.
Yeah, I actually like this little scene.
And then to completely go the other direction, we get a scene of Kane being weird again.
Yeah.
And he says that Peter Parker has been taken from him, but like, of course, because Peter Parker was taken for crimes that Kane committed, this is not a surprise to him.
Especially since you can see the future, right?
Yeah, and
Or
and then we get
something.
this dumb MJ vision again. And
Right.
he's gonna go deal with that, but he doesn't really in this arc yet.
It says he deals with it the only way he can, and then he says, as the pain subsides, Kane finds peace in the destruction he has caused. I don't see what destruction that is, so I'm assuming he has broke a bunch of chimneys.
Yeah, he like you see him like kind of like punch, but you don't see what he punches, and then it's like destruction he's caused, but it's like this weird overhead shot which doesn't show anything.
No.
Like that's definitely on Romita, where like he was probably supposed to like more clearly draw like Kane punching a wall for some dumb reason, but like we don't get that, so it basically happens off panel, and like we get 3 panels that are pointless.
Right. So I'm gonna count this. I'm gonna count this as more Kane breaking chimneys.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly what I was thinking, because you see him punch and it's like break something, and I was waiting. I was like, next panel, please be a chimney, and it's like we don't even get to see what he destroyed.
Yep.
So yeah, chalk it up. Headcanon, it was another chimney. And then MJ is freaking the hell out, and she questions why Pete doesn't break out of prison with his powers, and what will his irradiated blood (parentheses semen) do to their baby?
Well, if it's anything like Spider-Man Rain.
Oh God.
And then there's a Jackal subplot in these issues as well. He's being interrogated at Ravencroft, and we get to see John Jameson Manwolf again, which, like, I really just want to see Manwolf, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't have his powers at this point. We may have discussed that in like the very first arc, but like I want to see Manwolf.
Stay tuned for the Man Wolf podcast After Hours with Vincent Faust.
Dude, I would totally do. All right,
I'd be on that.
Pass that off here. And then we get our other subplot, the fourth clone, or depending on how you count, like Jack and others. I don't know what our total count is at this point. He's creeping about, and he stops a crook, and he figures out what power and responsibility is.
Yeah.
Great. I don't care. Something better happened with this third clone real fast because I don't care.
It's going nowhere.
And then another character pops in, Judas Traveler. He to study MJ for whatever, while Ben is trying to reconnect with MJ. So that's going to connect. And then Detective Jacob Raven also wants to go talk to MJ because he's doubting the case. And Kane comes on him and he's like, "You've got the wrong man." But like, did Raven see Kane in his costume way back then?
No, he did not have his costume yet.
Yeah, I don't think
he had his long hair and his beard.
Okay, yeah. So Raven doesn't fully know who Kane is, but then he quickly learns when Kane puts his mark of Kane on his face. So Jacob Raven is a scarred man.
I enjoyed. Let me cut back to the sequence where Ben is trying to fight Judas Traveler and he can't get close to him. I enjoyed this where he keeps trying to fight Judas Traveler because he doesn't want him to get near MJ. I enjoyed this.
Like, I get like the enjoyment of like Ben's determination and stuff, but this scene is so ridiculous.
That's why I like it. Like, the shit is exploding and he's just like, well, this is not going well, but hey, at least I'm learning something.
I mean, like watching Ben swing through the explosions and jump through the rubble and stuff, it's visually pretty cool. I don't understand what Judas Traveler's powers are.
Yeah,
no, that's the problem. I didn't even know he could do this. I was like, I thought he just has magic, but like,
he snaps his fingers and the entire street explodes.
Yeah.
And then later he commands a building to fall on Ben Reilly. And who knows what happened to all the people on this street in the buildings. That is not addressed.
They're all dead.
His powers are just ambiguous, whatever works.
Honestly, Judas Traveler looks like an opposite Doctor Strange, so I don't know why he's not like a Doctor Strange villain.
Yeah, I mean, Judas Traveler, he's just really weird, like we've discussed. But
one way to make him interesting is just make him a Strange villain. Don't make him a Spidey villain.
Yeah, he doesn't fit really well at all with Spider-Man. And Ben Reilly acknowledges this. He states how he used to have to deal with low-level people like Mysterio and Shocker. Now he's up against Venom.
Low level.
Now he's up against Venom, Judas Traveler, and Grim Hunter.
A whole new tier of supervillain.
One of those people is dead.
Dead and also like less powerful than Mysterio and Shocker.
Yeah.
But then I really loved, like parts of this scene were actually the best sequence in this story for me, because we get this scene where Ben starts getting angsty and then he stops himself. He's like, no, I'm past that. I'm done with that. And then hopefully that's for good, but he's definitely going to come back to that later.
We should start taking shots every single time he does anything angsty.
But like his narration was like pretty definite here. And like it seemed like, all right, it's done, but it's not.
Right. It almost seems like they're going for some character development, but
And so Ben survives the attacks. He gets to MJ, and then Traveler just disappears for no reason. He's like, I'll get back to you later.
Yep.
And then, so MJ is finally willing to talk to Ben, and I think it's hilarious that he has to keep the mask on when he's talking to her. She's like, I'll talk to you, but keep the mask on. Moving into part 2, we're in Spectacular Spider-Man 223. This is written by Tom DeFalco, drawn breakdowns by Sal Buscema and Bill Sienkiewicz on finishes. This cover is really dumb.
It's bad.
Yeah, it's just dumb. It's bad. It's ridiculous.
What's funny is like you could even like this cover, like if you want to look it up for yourself, they slap the Ben Reilly Spider logo over the art that's already on there, but like you can tell the art under there also would just not be an interesting cover anyway as well.
Right.
Even still, it's entirely covered.
Yeah.
So, like, it's just this doesn't fulfill either way. I almost wondered if this was like a gimmick cover, like if the Ben Reilly logo was like shiny or something, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't.
It makes sense.
Sticking with art topics on this issue, I don't know who colored this issue, but it's terrible.
It's rough.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's like, again, like this is not the art team for a Spider-Man book at all. Especially as it's crossing over with other stuff. Like if this was like a 3-issue, like if Sienkiewicz drew a 3-issue Spider-Man story and it was like some really screwed up stuff, fine. But it doesn't fit at all.
No.
And on the note of coloring, our first page, we get the Jackal again. Are his teeth green as well, or is it just like the weird coloring and lighting?
I think the lighting shining on it is like making them look like yellowy green.
Yeah, I think it was supposed to be.
And the Jackal gets a new motivation. Previously, it's just been like, I'm gonna torture Peter Parker and Ben Reilly and mess around with clones. Now he wants to re-engineer the entire human race's genetics.
Oh my god.
The amount of times we hear genetic soup used in this issue
made me sick.
What do you think genetic soup tastes like?
Vomit.
Listen, I'm very much a lover of soup. I like my chowders. I like my bisques. I was gonna have one tomorrow. After this issue, I don't know if I'm having soup for dinner tomorrow or not now.
I don't know if I'm having soup ever again.
And so also in Ravencroft, we get Shriek. And Shriek, I guess the final Amazing Spider-Man arc before the bulk of the Clone Saga was called The Shrieking. And that's where this whole carrion mess happens, where Shriek absorbs the carrion virus. And she's going crazy, and she treats the virus as a fetus growing inside her. Super.
And apparently, I guess Tom DeFalco or who did this? Buscema. Somebody thinks that like pregnant women just draw with crayons on the walls.
I don't know if that was part of it.
Don't look pregnant at all.
Going crazy. I mean, she's not pregnant.
Yeah.
She just thinks she is.
She thinks she is. And part of being pregnant is drawing with crayons. That's what pregnant women do.
And then there's a scene where Ben Reilly, so he's talking to MJ, and he's like, yeah, my name's Ben Reilly, and I don't like the Scarlet Spider thing. That's the dumb Daily Bugle. And he says, you'd think that even a rag like the Daily Bugle wouldn't get the color of my logo wrong, like implying that he should be called like the Black Spider. But like that's clearly not why he's called Scarlet Spider.
Right.
You're in a giant scarlet jumpsuit.
But he and MJ, they're kind of getting along, but he still has to keep on his mask. So we get the classic scene where it's like the 3/4 mask while he's eating or drinking.
I don't know if you saw it, but have you guys seen? I think I took a picture of it for you, Matt. You see, Marvel Legends is doing the foot tall figures again.
No.
The big ones. They did a Spider-Man, and it comes with 3 different heads, like full mask. Parker, and one of them's like the half mask where he's just smiling through it.
Yeah.
Mouth. So like, yeah, that looks is become kind of like a famous famous look almost. It's like an alternate head for a bunch of different figures right now.
I like that. That's cool.
Well, also, I mean, on the topic of to what extent Peter Parker has his mask on usually, despite the fact that MJ says keep the mask on, Ben Reilly, like every other panel we see him in, he has his mask off again.
He keeps taking it back off, and she has to keep reminding him, "I don't want to see your face. Put that back on."
Yeah, it's like some Tobey
Like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies where he keeps taking it off because they don't think you can show an actor emote through a mask.
Right. Like if you took out their conversation sequences and read them back to back, it'd just be a constant off and on with the mask, and they going, "No, keep that on."
And Pete can't tell Robbie that he's innocent because, like, how do you explain that you have 3 clones running around and one of them murdered someone, and you have the exact same fingerprint?
You would think that. I mean, if you're going to confide in anyone, it would be Robbie, at least in some sort of cursory detail, because he's been in a very similar situation before, and that wasn't even mentioned.
Well, not only that, we were reading about that very similar situation when we were reading the Carrion stuff because Robbie was going through his thing with Tombstone.
Yes.
And so obviously Raven knows that he got the wrong man because now he has a giant scar on his face. And back to Ben and MJ, Ben expresses concern for the baby, and then MJ just freaks out and yells at him again. And Pete notes how he's never been to Salt Lake City, except maybe he might have dropped in there real quick on his book tour. And for those who do not know, Peter Parker put together a photography book back in the beginning of the Michelini and McFarlane run in the early 300s, which I think is cool. That was a cool.
I think I do remember this.
Yeah, I like it. It's like a photography book about Spider-Man mostly, right?
Yeah.
That would make money.
It would.
And Pete immediately is like his first assumption is that the murderer is Ben. But does Pete know that Kane is his clone at this point? I'm pretty sure.
I don't think so.
No.
Okay. But he does know that there is he does know about the stupid 4th mystery clone.
No, I don't think that. No, they don't know about him either. He walked out of the wreckage after everyone left.
Yeah, nobody knows that I'm not even sure if Jackal knows he escaped.
No.
Yeah, as of right now, no one knows about the 4th mystery clone. Kane hasn't revealed himself to Peter yet. Ben knows who he is.
Right.
I'm pretty sure Peter's only had like one interaction with Kane so far.
Yeah, the stupid anticlimactic one.
Yeah,
a couple episodes back.
They're really slow burning this.
Yep.
And then another sequence that doesn't make any sense. Pete breaks out of prison to track down Ben, and he realizes if he turns Ben in, they have the same damn face, so Pete would have to give up his own secret identity. But actually, he didn't escape?
No, it was a dream sequence. It was like a thought sequence.
I mean, that's the like the best explanation, but like that is not clear at all. I was pretty confused.
I was
confused when I read it, and then when it cut back to his cell, I was like, oh, I get it.
For a second, I was thinking, did he sneak back in and then use the super strength to fix the bars? It's like, oh, that's not going to work. I'll just go back.
They need to fill 3 more pages. That's just filler.
Yeah. Sienkiewicz Carnage, kind of cool. A little bit for one.
Carnage is a cool drawing. Sienkiewicz.
It's not really
cool artist,
considering he uses the same drawing twice.
Well, yeah.
And Jackal is sneaking around Ravencroft, somehow manipulating security cameras and stuff. And he is looking into Malcolm McBride, the prior second Carrion. And because you got to address this Carrion thing because Carrion spun out of the original Clone Saga. And I guess if you didn't address this, it would start getting kind of weird. I don't know.
I don't think anyone was going to ask about where Carrion is.
What that weird guy who has the scryer overlooks the fourth clone. We're running around New York City.
Yeah. The clone is coming across like little tidbits that are triggering memories. So he passes by the warehouse where Spider-Man confronted the burglar, and that scryer thing doesn't come back up within this story. And cut back to Ben and MJ, and they're now on a first name basis. She says, "Call me Mary Jane," and he's taking his mask off again. And then
it looks like she took it off.
Yeah,
so, like it's a symbol of trust. She trusts Ben Reilly now. Yes.
Totally trust him when she was already on his couch when symbiotes were invading him.
The Jackal somehow harvests the carrion virus from Shriek, but it's totally off panel. So I don't know what he did, how he did it. It's like not clear if he uses like some I don't know. It looks like he just like rips into her body or something, because the last thing we see is his claws above her face. But like, how do you take a virus out of someone? And he doesn't have any medical equipment with him, whatever.
Just reach in and grab it.
Yeah, it's like a gem or something.
Yeah.
And then what we haven't mentioned is John Jameson and a fellow guard have been having this constant conversation about burgers and cholesterol and onion breath. And this allows the Jackal to catch a guard off guard and gets away with it.
Yeah.
And like the other thing is, like, we don't get the resolution of this Jackal thing. Does he go back to his cell, or does he escape off panel as well? I don't know what happens here either.
I'm assuming he escaped. I think he escaped. I don't know.
But then, I mean, the subplot is totally pointless and everything. But to be honest, my favorite page in these entire 2 issues is this mystery clone in the cemetery doing the platoon pose in the rain, and his entire body is in shadow. And he's yelling. He realizes that he's Peter Parker.
He freaks out.
I mean, I enjoyed this page just visually.
And that's where I thought the issue was going to end, but no, we got one more page.
Yeah, it's just MJ, and
it's a really tacked on page.
This guy is stalking her, I guess, and then Kane is stalking him, stalking her, and I'm assuming Scryer is stalking Kane, and then Judas Traveler is probably stalking Scryer.
We're gonna need a goddamn flowchart for this.
The triple stalking returns, and so that's pretty much it. So not much happened. Peter Parker is in prison. Jacob Raven got mark of Cain on his face. And Ben Reilly and MJ met each other, even though they already did.
Yeah.
So,
and the new clone knows who he is, or who he should be, or whatever.
So what did you guys think about these glorious 2 issues?
Vince, I'm kind of pissed off at you because this is a giant waste of time. This was just a filler. Transition arc to the next thing. We could have read 2 more issues and would have been fine.
Honestly, I expected him to at least get out of prison by the end of this arc, and no, just nothing happened.
See, teasing a bit to come, I believe he does get out of prison, but there is a subsequent trial of Peter Parker.
Okay,
it's extra legal.
This is going to run like 9 issues, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not. It's a little bit. So
Jesus.
Then we get the tease for our next arc, and it is described that no true web lover would miss the Mark of Cain crossover. And that will be our next episode. Not a very descriptive arc, since Cain is constantly saying the words Mark of Cain.
Yeah.
and we saw someone get the Mark of Cain in this. It also the tease also teases that it is the most exciting spider epic of all time, or at least since the last one.
Which doesn't exactly sound promising, does it?
No. Well, wait. What was the last crossover saga? Symbiotes, because we enjoyed that.
Yeah. Did we?
I think we did.
I mean, everything's a crossover, so I guess this would be the last one.
Oh, then
I'm
we
just-
didn't enjoy it. No.
I'm just excited to finally be a true web lover. This is the moment I've been waiting for my entire life.
All right, so thanks for watching and tune into that next one. Peace.
See ya.
Bye.